And we are live. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show, Monday, September 23rd. And we don't have much of a baseball slate ahead of us today, folks, but we're breaking it down nonetheless. So hit that like button as you get in the door, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow me on Twitter. We've only got 4 games today. We've got Monday Night Football. I think the baseball streets are going to be a little thin today, but I'm repping Liverpool. We're celebrating a win this weekend, and we're going to do whatever we can for today to squeeze some value out of this MLB slate. Phillies and Cubs at 640. Jays and Red Sox at 7. Astros, Mariners at 8. Diamondbacks and Giants just shy of 10 o'clock. Stephen Leibowitz in the house. I'm a loser in the house. Makes me sound weird when I say it like that, but still me. Look, we're going to touch on everything. It's going to move pretty quickly. We're going to build out our lineups in the single game sim. If we get a half hour out of this bad boy, we'll probably be happy. Lots to talk about, though. We've got NFL shows later today. So let's get into it. Watch is almost charged. That's exciting. AirPods will be charged shortly. Yeah, we're looking good. All right, so let's look at it. Let's break down this slate as much as we can. Honestly, it's kind of tough. My sim is just about done. I've got, and I guess I could grab the stochastic top stacks, top pitchers data for right now. So let's grab top pitchers. Shout out Hunter Brown, Nola, and Bassett, I guess. They're the top 3 in the stochastic tool. Top stacks. Boom, we're in. All right, so I've got 3 teams at the top of the top stacks list. The Diamondbacks, the Astros, and the Phillies. Now, we have the Giants 3rd. I do not. I'm a little bit lower on the Giants here. We'll get to that in a second. Number 1 team for me, number 1 team in the stochastic top stacks tool, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I actually have them at 18%. Stochastic has it at 20. You know, split the difference, call it 19. This is the number 1 team you can get to. Birdsong going for the Giants. Now, this one is in Arizona, so park is pretty limiting for power, although it's just as limiting if you're playing in San Francisco. Let me grab my lineups to see what I have, to see if I'm getting to the Diamondbacks. But as I look at it right now, my expectations for my exposures, I think that I am going to have the Red Sox and the Astros as my 2 best teams. I don't expect to have the Blue Jays. I would not be surprised to have the Mariners. But I think Astros and Red Sox are going to be my 2. Because the Red Sox still have a north of 10 top stack odds, but they're getting a massive amount of ownership coming into Bassett. So I'm expecting to like the Red Sox. But we'll know more right now. Because my sim is done, and I can drop my top 50 lineups for today into my sheet to find out where we stand. So that's the results of my sim. These are my top 50 lineups. I do have a lot of Bassett, so I'm expecting to be like 50% Bassett, 50% Red Sox type stuff. I don't really mean that I'm going to have 50% of the Red Sox, but you know, I think you picking up what I'm putting out. All right, 50 lineups in. I have Giants and Mariners, a little bit of Astros, neutral to the Red Sox, way over on the Cubs. The Cubs were the other choice other than the Red Sox, but let's look at it. So Diamondbacks are the first team. They were the number 1 stack. However, I'm not getting there. 3rd least exposed team to me. They're 16% owned in the aggregate. I am not getting the Diamondbacks. Now, I wonder what's causing that. They are heavy in outfielders in their top 6 spots. That's 4 of the top 6 are outfield only. Only Christian Walker and Ketel Marte come in after that. Marte, obviously, pretty expensive. Not that he doesn't deserve the price tag, but it is a 4-gamer, so it does become a little bit more difficult to get to teams. Remember, we only have 8 teams. Diamondbacks are fifth in top value for the stochastic site. And then fourth for me, call it like 11%. They are kind of tough to get to. Like, I don't mind getting Eugenio Suarez. I don't have any of him, but he's a $4,700 third baseman, potentially hitting seventh. So, like, you know, I'm getting Corbin Carroll, and I'm not surprised by that. But the Diamondbacks feel difficult to get to. Whereas if you go to the opposite side here, you only have three outfielders in the top six for the Giants, but you get Short and first in the first two spots. You get Matt Chapman at third. These guys are owned a little bit less than the Giants. They're still, 12% top stack. They're the number one value team across both Stochastic and myself. So the Giants are really cheap. I mean, they only have 4,500 or cheaper dudes in the lineup. And Erod is pulling 28% ownership, so you're getting the leverage for Giants bats against Erod. Now, it's not stopping me from getting the Erod. I'm over the field on Erod. I did bet his under in strikeouts, so put that out there right now. But the Giants look more appealing to me than the Diamondbacks. Now, they are comparably owned. 16% to the Diamondbacks, 14.5% to the Giants. That's basically the same. Really, the only difference between the Giants ownership and the Diamondbacks ownership is Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll's 26% owned. He's only 5,300. He's hitting leadoff. Like, yeah, Corbin Carroll's going to be more owned than the Diamondbacks as a stack. But it seems to me that the Giants are the more appealing team because of the ownership coming into Erod. Tough park for power, though. But, I mean, we're looking at 7 righties right now in the projected lineup. That's kind of appealing. Yaz takes a pretty big hit here, lefty. But, I mean, I'm loading up on Fitzgerald, Kana, Ramos, Chapman, and Patrick Bailey. I mean, Patrick Bailey, 3,100 for a catcher today. There's only 8 of them, I would imagine. Or, maybe 7, maybe 9, depending on the day. Let's take a look at it. How many catchers are there today? Based on projected lineups, we only have 8 catchers. So, immediately that's going to get tough. Bailey, that $3,100 price tag for Bailey is appealing. I mean, we only have 2 catchers, 1 catcher today projected to hit north of 5th. That's something to keep in mind. Kepenekla likes the Phillies. They are my second least exposed team. We will get there. So I've hit the Giants now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think Helio Ramos and Tyler Fitzgerald are pretty massively underowned. Ramos in particular might be the most underowned guy on today's slate. If I put everybody back into this table, no, it's not Ramos. Helio Ramos is 4th. Yordan Alvarez is 1st, most underowned guy. Schwarber 2nd. Corbin Carroll 3rd. We'll talk about Schwarber in a bit. He's pretty much the only thing I'm getting from Philly. But if we look at the Mariners now, this is the game that I have the most of. 20% of the Mariners, who are 12% owned, and 17% of the Astros, who are 14% owned. Now, this is a spot, this game in particular, I am not on the same wavelength as the stochastic projection. So I'm curious to see where this goes. Because we have the Astros 12th in top stack, and I have them 12% in top stack. I have them 17. We have them 5th. I have them 2nd. And if you ask me, I think they should be 2nd. I think they're the best lineup going. Bryce Miller is outside of Seattle. That's a completely different pitcher. Lefty power plays up in a big way. That's great for Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, even John Singleton. I love the Astros here. Now, clearly a little bit more expensive, but if you can find a way to get to Houston, I think they look a lot better than 5th overall. Now, Seattle, we have 7th. I have 4th. The difference between 9% and 11.5%. I actually have them as the second best value stack. I don't think that's all that surprising. Most expensive bat in the Mariners lineup right now is $4,300 Cal Raleigh. And we've already talked about catcher being limited. The fact that you can get arguably the best catcher on today's slate at our, relatively cheap price, it makes getting to Seattle a lot easier. The downside for Seattle, 6, 7, 8, 9, first, second, short, third. You do have to make some concessions with getting less than appealing options, but like Polanco and JP Crawford are both fine. This is the game that I want offense in. Now, I am getting Hunter Brown, 35% owned. I have 30%. But when I don't have Hunter Brown, I'm going to have Seattle. And when I do have Hunter Brown, I'm going to have at least a little bit of the Houston Astros. The other team that I'm getting to with any sort of volume that isn't getting ownership is the Cubs. They are dead last in top stack for Stochastic. They're 7th for me. They're dead last in value for both teams, for both Stochastic and me. But they're dead last in ownership as well at 8%. And Aaron Nola is pulling 40% ownership on the opposite side. We know that Nola has, I don't want to say power issues, but we're talking about a guy that strikes out 28% of righties and 20% of lefties. He has given up a 200 ISO this year to lefties. Only 156, though, X ISO. He doesn't get as many swinging strikes. So Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, Michael Busch, Pete Crow Armstrong. Interesting spots for the lefties here for Chicago. You get Swanson at a pretty reasonable price. Miguel Amaya, you probably are punting on, given the fact that he's going to be hitting in the 9 hole, but it's just another spot against some pitcher leverage where, like, Ian Happ, I think, is under-owned at 10%. Cody Bellinger at 9% owned. I like that as a pay-up-to-be contrarian option. So it appears that I'm going to try to be a little bit different with the Giants and with the Cubs. Kapanekla, for the Phillies, the only two guys that I really have are the two guys you would want. It's Schwarber in 12% of my stuff. It's Bryce Harper in 10% of my stuff. They're expensive, although honestly, mid-5s-ish for Schwarber, Harper combined. I like Philly more individually than I do as a overall stack. But, lefty power plays up in Philly. You're getting a bullpen game with likely 2 righties to start. I get the appeal of Philly, and I wouldn't mind having more, but I'm happy that I'm getting to Schwarber and Harper. The only team that I don't really have, or the only team that I have less than the Phillies, is the Blue Jays. Now, that's Tanner Houck on the opposite side for the Red Sox. That's not a fun spot for Toronto. They're the lowest top stack team for me. Stochastic has them 6th. I have them dead last. I really only have Vlad and Alejandro Kirk. They're really the two guys I would want if I was going to have anything. They do have 5 MPEs in their starting lineup. Vlad first, third, Ernie Clement third short, Addison Barger third outfield, Davis Schneider second outfield, Leo Jimenez second short. These guys are just really easy to roster. The flexibility that you get from Toronto is massive. That's usually a sign that I'm not going to get to that lineup all that much. But I really don't have anything else here to say about hitting. I think we should take a look quickly at pitching and then build out some lineups. But my pitching exposure looks like this. Highest owned guy right now projected is Aaron Nola at 40. Chris Bassett's just shy of 40. And then Hunter Brown's at 35. I'm a little over on Nola. I'm way over on Chris Bassett. 56%. Chris Bassett's my number 1 guy. And then I'm basically neutral to Hunter Brown. The only other guy that I'm getting with abundance is Erod. And that's an interesting split where I just simply think that he's a little overowned, but the value for a 4-gamer can't be ignored. So I'm getting Erod, but when I don't have Erod, I likely have the Giants. And it's the same story in the Phillies game where I don't have Nola. I probably have a pretty decent chunk of the Cubs. Bryce Miller is not a guy that I'm going to be looking at today on the road. Tanner Houck is not a guy that I'm going to be looking at today, mostly because I think he's just like priced appropriately. And then whether it's Nate Pearson or Hayden Wisniewski or however the hell you say his last name, I think he's coming in as the long man after Pearson. I don't have much interest there. I did get a little bit of Birdsong. That's really only happening because he's 5K and it's a 4K and it's a 4-game slate. But I think that I am just going to, I mean, you can see it right here. You get 200 total % ownership. Brown, Nola, Bassett, Erod are making up 180 of my 200. That's 90% of my pitching exposure to those 4 guys. I don't really see anything that I would want to change. The goal is 19 fantasy points out of your starter today. Anything north of that is a dub. If you get 20 or more, no matter who it is, you're happy with your output today. And I'm trying to corner the market on Brown, Nola, Bassett, and Rodriguez. So hit that like button, guys, if you haven't done it yet. I know we have a relatively limited crowd here today. However, Yep, gotta stop that. All right. Schedule for the rest of the day. We have, because we got a couple shows today. NFL Showdown Strategy. Don't forget what today is. It's Monday Night Football, folks. It's Monday Night Football. If you guys are football fans, you get football tonight. But you get double football. Jaguars Bills at 7:30. Commanders Bengals at 8:15. You've got 2 NFL games tonight, and I believe there's 2 Monday Night Football games for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. So if you're a football guy, NFL Showdown Strategy, Laffy and Makajeski coming up after this show. They're going to start this off at 10 a.m. They're going to break down both of those games for tonight. Greg and Eric will be back later tonight for MLB Live Before Lock. That's going to be at 6 o'clock, and they'll take you up to the 6:40 first pitch. And then the moment after MLB Live Before, actually, they might go to 6:30, because at 6:30, Laffy and Gajeski are back for NFL Live Before Lock, and they will be breaking down everything heading into the kickoff of Jaguars Bills. So if you want all that content, make sure you're paying attention to the Stochastic YouTube channel for today, because we've got a lot going on, and you can sign up for our MLB package or our NFL package by clicking the link in the description. Now, it's about that time, folks. The czar of the single game lineup sim is here, and he is ready to build the goods. So let us build out some lineups in the single game sim and find out what we can do on this 4-game slate, because this is going to be tough. Large contest, 25% to first. And I'm going to the team that I have the most of. It is time to roster the San Francisco Giants. Can we grab some value here? So, for Giants, I'm going to go to the guys that I have a lot of to start. And that is going to be Tyler Fitzgerald. That's going to be Helio Ramos. That's going to be Mark Canha. That's going to be Patrick Bailey. And finally, last guy, it's going to be Matt Chapman. So now we need pitching. Best value options are Birdsong and Bassett, and that's what I'm going with. Since we have the Giants, I might as well get Birdsong. And then the second best option we can get to is Bassett. That actually leaves us 5,800 per hitter for second base, outfield. Now, right away, this tells me that I probably want to look at Houston, because I can get Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker, and Yordan Alvarez. That leaves me $1,100. We might be able to upgrade Birdsong. We might be able to upgrade Bassett. 95.3 is the first projection. Ownership is at 169.04. What is the ROI? Do I generally like stacking the pitcher with the 5-man? I don't really care all that much, but I will do it when I like that particular pitcher. Whew, baby. 72.9 out of the gate. When I like the pitcher and I have that 5-man, it just kind of comes naturally, especially for a situation like this with Birdsong being cheap. Now, we might actually be able to improve this since we have $1,100. First and foremost, can we upgrade Birdsong? That answer is no. Can we upgrade Bassett? That answer is yes. We can upgrade look what this is going to do. We're barely taking on any additional ownership, but we're adding 1.4 fantasy points by going to Bassett. So now, the lineup that we had before was 90. Wait, did I already have Bassett? I already had Bassett. I'm dumb. I meant to click on Hunter Brown. So now, we did have a lineup that was 95.3. It's 96.75. But we're only upgrading ownership by 2 percentage points. I would be shocked if this isn't well north of 72.9. This could be in the 80s or 90s. An extra 1 point. Really? Really? Why? That ownership is so big on Hunter Brown? That 3% matters like that? That is not at all what I expected. So let's see if we can make a tweak here. If we go back to Bassett, is there something we can upgrade on the Giants? It's not Patrick Bailey, although... Nope. It's not Patrick Bailey. So... It's not Mark Canha. It's not Chapman. I only went Ramos. It can't be him. Can I get Casey Schmidt in over Chapman? He's a better value. That leaves me 3,300. Now, can I get rid of Bassett and Birdsong or just Birdsong? No, I can't get rid of Birdsong. It's still just Hunter Brown. Okay, so who's the best Houston guy? Highest projected Houston guy I don't have is Diaz at 4,600. If I turn Bailey into Diaz, because Bailey's at 546, Diaz is at 701. Now that gives me Hunter Brown. So now I have 4-4 with both pitchers, 96-1-2. This is going to be right around 70, I think. Can you do a 3-3? I can. Could be something we look at. All right, 52. Looks like we kicked it out of the we knocked it out of the park on the first run. So we know let's see if we can improve that. Now I'm going to try the Mariners. This is the team that I have the second most of. So for Seattle, immediately, option number 1 is Cal Raleigh. Tell me we don't have Cal Raleigh in. All right, we do. Wow, bad value on Cal Raleigh. Oh, yeah, I'm high on Seattle. That makes sense. This might be tough. So we get Cal Raleigh. We get Julio Rodriguez. That should be unsurprising. I'm going to get Jorge Polanco to make second base easier. Seems like I got to get Victor Robles. And then finally, we'll go Luke Raley. Now we're going to have infinite money here. So because we have Seattle, we can't go Hunter Brown. I think our best option is going to be Nola Bassett. And now I think Philly becomes interesting. But maybe not. Best third baseman is going to be Vlad Guerrero. Now that links with Bassett pretty well, but I think we're going to end up with too much salary. I don't think the outfield is going to get there for Toronto. Yeah, that leaves 1,100 on the table, 92 projection. That's not going to get it done. This might be tough. This might be really tough. So if that's Trey Turner, Alec Boehm, and Castellanos, 92, 2, 170, that's not going to be it. All right, Steven, I'll check that in a second. This isn't going to be in the 70s, I don't think, but oh well. I think really getting different at pitcher is the key. So, Steven, let me try this one. That's Hunter Brown, Tanner Houck, Wong. I bet Casas to homer, so that's fun. Romy Gonzalez, Alex Bregman, Pena, Abreu, Yoshida, is that, it's got to be Tucker, right? That's what you tried to say there. 88.8, 142. So we cut the ownership a lot, but we probably cut the projection too much. But I think we might be able to wiggle that around a bit. Yeah, 13. I think we could fix this. I'm going to drop down off a Hunter Brown and put in Diaz for a 4-4. And then that's Bassett. That's not going to get it done. Actually, if I pull Bassett and Romy Gonzalez and go back to Altuve, I can get Erod. Nah, it's probably still going to be in the 20s or 30s. Ice through. Let me hit yours after this gets finished running. God, I love this tool so much, man. It's so much fun to do this. 30s? -1. Okay. All right. Erod. First man up. Bassett. Raleigh. Harper. Dylan Moore. I don't think we have more projected. Now we don't. Ice through. We don't have more projected today. All right, let's try the chalk. Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's see how we do it with chalk. We're going to have to get different somewhere when we do this. So that's going to be Corbin Carroll. Christian Walker for sure. Ketel Marte, I guess. Jake McCarthy. And then best value left for Arizona is Pavin Smith, but I don't want 3 outfielders. Jock, I don't want 3 outfielders. Jose Herrera, I can't take. Perdomo doesn't feel like the guy that I want him to be, but I guess we're going to try Eugenio Suarez and get a third baseman. That takes us to pitching. We can't take Birdsong, which means that we have to really find the best value we can at pitching. If we can't have Birdsong, then I think we have to go to Erod And after Erod, honestly, Tanner Houck is kind of interesting to me. Just to cut the ownership. Leaves us 3,500 for each spot. Best value catcher is Kirk, who we can't use. So we can't use Patrick Bailey either. So let's see if we can get Cal Raleigh in Seattle. So that's Seattle, Cal Raleigh, Seattle, JP Crawford. And then I'm just going to one-off the best outfielder right now, which is Jason Hayward. 89, 70, and 160. That's not going to get it done. That ain't it. Tough slate. Man, I really killed it with that Astros lineup right out of the gate. That was quite good. Who's the best shortstop I can get to? All right. Trevor Story. Connor Wong. Masataka Yoshida. 92, 2, and 160. We're gaining on it. This will be in the 30s or 40s. Yeah, 28. There's something else there. All right, ice through. Let's try that again. So that's going to be Erod, Bassett, Raleigh, Harper, Polanco, Clement, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Victor Robles, no Luke Raley. Ice through. Best guy we could take there is Encarnacion. We can get a 2 for Nathan Lukes, which I think is probably the move here. 89 projection, 160 ownership. This isn't going to be very good. It'll be around neutral. Ooh, negative 19. Ice through. Back to the drawing board. All right. Last lineup we're going to do, and we're going to try to find the best value. It has to include Hayden Birdsong. And then Yoshida, Bassett, Trevor Story, Romy Gonzalez. So that gives me a 3-man Boston stack with exceptional value. Can I get to Houston now? Diaz. Tristan Casas, 4-4. Altuve. Tucker. Alvarez. Did I build this earlier? That's 1,900 left over. This is actually going to grade out okay, I think. And we have $1,900 to change it. Negative 12. Guess not. All right. If we pull Romy Gonzalez. What if I go Vlad Guerrero? Okay. We pull Diaz for Kirk. Gives me another 1,300. So now we have a 3-3-2. Is there a better shortstop than Trevor Story? Fitzgerald, which doesn't help. Dansby Swanson, which doesn't help. And then Story. Not ideal. Is there something better than Yoshida for 4,800? Arizona. That can go to 3-man Toronto by going to Springer. Now we have 500 left over. 3-man Toronto, 3-man Houston, 2-man Boston. Ah, still only 21. Looks like the best thing that we built was the first thing that we built. Because yeah, like Casas looks great. Can I move Vlad to first? I can. Don't want Bohm. Don't really want Romy Gonzalez. Barger leaves me 1,000, which allows me to upgrade to Bassett. 96 and 158. I mean, on paper, this should be great. I don't know how the hell I got to 73. But even 40 works for what this lineup is. 4-man Toronto, 3-man Houston, Trevor Story. Can I change that in any way? I mean, I could put Leo Jimenez in. Can't upgrade Kirk. Can't upgrade Vlad. Can't upgrade Altuve, Tucker, Alvarez. Can't upgrade Barger. Can't upgrade. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have a change here. Springer? Nope. Yeah, I think that lineup just sort of... Unless we go back to Bassett here. 5-3. Can Springer become something better? I don't want one off Corbin Carroll. I don't want Duran. Can be Schwarber. Schwarber make this better? I don't think so. Is Clemens projecting in for the Phillies? I don't think so. No. All right, guys. We've hit a couple lineups here. We've gone through the 4 games. I really don't have anything else to say for what this slate is. So I'm going to get on out of here. Remember, NFL shows are coming up next, 10 a.m. You're getting 2 Monday night football games tonight, guys. You don't want to miss it. Thank you guys for being here. We're back tomorrow with a real slate, and we'll be breaking it all down. Odd Shopper Live coming up at noon. Good luck, everybody.